All right, well, it is 6 o'clock, October 4th. We're now entering the Charlton Board of Health minutes meeting. All members are in attendance. First item on the board is to accept the prior minutes for September 13th, 2022.
I'll make a motion that we accept the prior meeting minutes for our September 13, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So the minutes are accepted. Next item on the board is Fresh City Mass Pike West, request to reopen. Are you with them?
I am.
Okay. So, and did, can you sign in so we know
Sure.
who you are?
Yeah.
And you need a pen, we have one here for you. And just so we know who we're talking with, you can let us know like who you are and
Yeah.
your position in the company. Would be great. You don't have to put all that. Just the
Can put
name, phone number would be great.
So my name is Angel Castillo, and I'm a supervisor for JBK Management,
Okay.
and that includes the Charlton Plaza, including McDonald's other venues. And I've been with the company for 20 plus years,
Okay.
so I'm in charge of the Fresh City supervision.
Okay. So I'm gonna move on to Kim,
Sure.
because Kim, you were on site.
Yes.
All right, so basically, I'll let you tell us,
Yeah.
bring us up to speed on your
Sure.
information and
Sure.
take it
So
from there.
Jim Philbrook and I did a surprise inspection of the Fresh City West on August 31st. And immediately walking into the vicinity, we saw multiple violations. You have a copy of the report here, but the biggest ones being when we walked to the front of like the serving area, there was a leak in the ceiling, and the water was pouring down over the food service areas, contaminating possible food, and the workers would actually be dripping on, like getting dripped on, standing there. Throughout the facility too, there was violations in the walk-in refrigerator, such as raw chicken not being covered. The cash drawer was actually placed on top of a pan of chicken. There was dirty dishes. The hand sinks weren't being used properly. So just all in all, not good. Immediately when Jim and I saw the leak and it pouring down, we closed them immediately at 10:40, and they were notified of the closure. The facility remained closed until September 6th, so it was through the Labor Day weekend. And on September 6th, Jim went back, he met with you that day,
Right.
and things were corrected, the ceiling had been fixed, and they were reopened. And then Jim and I went back. Jim had been going basically every day, doing daily inspections. No other violations have been found since then. On September 13th, I went with Jim and did a full re-inspection and no violations.
Okay.
So we have a clean inspection report from that date. And Jim has been going basically every day since, and
Yes.
again, no violations.
Right.
So Angel's seen a lot of Jim, but nothing else has been found.
Okay. All right, so you have on your report, you've got the R and the C, right?
Yep.
The red's called out as
Yep.
red item,
Right,
and that's like needs improvement right away, it's
Right.
in the red.
correct, yep,
But C is critical item,
yep.
and that's like worse than red?
Yeah, so basically, something in the red you can have up to 30 days to correct. Critical, it has to be done,
Forthwith.
yeah, or within 10 days. But, you know, we had the dirty pans, contamination, all of those were critical items.
One of the things that was brought to our attention, and it's on the list here, was cross-contamination in the frozen
Right.
yogurt.
That's right.
And that could be life-threatening, like with peanut allergies or whatever the different allergies are out there. I'm not a doctor, but I know that 1 in 1,000, 1 in 100, 1 in whatever case, the wrong person gets the wrong food in their mouth, and it could be terrible. Especially out on the Mass Pike, where it may not have a cell phone, may not have a way to communicate to
Right.
somebody. And it, far-fetched, maybe, life or death, but has it happened in this world? Absolutely. So our board and the board of every board of health is to keep public health and safety as safe as possible. And in this case, you know, it was going downhill. You corrected it, which is great. So just to backtrack, I got the phone call the day they were on site. They said, we're gonna shut them down, or I think at that point Jim had already shut down, and he said, what do you want to do about it? Do you want to reopen? And in good faith for your company and all your employees and all that, I said, Jim, when they get up to speed and they pass your you know, and I believe some people didn't have ServSafe compliance.
Right. The day that we went on the 31st, I don't think you were on site. There wasn't a manager on duty at that time.
Mm-hmm.
There was nobody there with a ServSafe that was in working there at the time.
Right.
So it was that, with no one even being able to really help us determine who's in charge here.
Right.
There wasn't anybody at the time.
Right. So I agreed to, once everything was satisfactory to our health inspector and Kim, to let you guys open up temporarily until the next board meeting. I didn't want to make a big decision of whether to close you guys down or not without the voice of these two, which is the entire board. And at that time, your representative was not at the table here to discuss this with us. And I was in favor of shutting you down completely until the next meeting, which would have been today. These two guys reached out and saved you, gave you the extension to keep going to this point. But if it was up to me, I would have said no. And the reason why is these are pretty serious. They're not, but they are. And if they're not addressed and there's a problem and somebody gets, you know, hurt or killed or whatever, I mean, it's a big deal. And so when I had requested that the owner come before the board on that Tuesday and it didn't happen, I said, well, he's not taking it serious and you know, basically my vote was no, shut him down. So 3 weeks have gone by and I'm still not seeing the owner here. So I've heard about you. I know Mr. Philbrook has worked with you. He said you're excellent. But I'm pretty disappointed that your owner is not able to be here.
Sure.
And I'm just going to make that, you know, clear and throw it right on the table. I'm not too happy. I've met him before. We've had issues in the past. To be honest with you, the issues have been long enough ago for me to say this is a clean slate. It's not really a history of it. It's a history, but a 5-year, a 6-year, a 7-year history to me it's a fresh start, okay? But I do know he exists and I know who he is, and I'm pretty disappointed that he's not here tonight. But I do appreciate you coming and basically hearing us out to hear our concerns on this.
Sure.
So with that being said,
He already put his hand up before me.
Pete, go for it.
Yeah, and I just want to say the contingents of the reopening was based on Jim and Kim's availability for those spot checks that they came in almost every day. So, we wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt, but we also wanted to make sure we protected the community and had them go in there, making sure there wasn't any violations.
Sure.
Yeah. John, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, well, I'm certainly happy to hear that the inspections, and they weren't done every day, but close to every day.
Close to every
Okay.
day. Yeah.
Okay.
Very close
So
to
everything's
everything.
cleared up, so that's,
Yeah.
that's great news. Now, going forward with whatever happens here this evening, what is your rough game plan? Will inspections take place? Well, let me back up a little bit. For a normal restaurant that's
Yeah.
had no issues, how often would a member of this Board of Health, you or Jim or somebody, go in and inspect?
So typically it's once a year, 6 months, but the
Okay.
Mass Pikes are a little bit different where we go in multiple times a year.
Right.
So
okay.
maybe every quarter
Okay.
or so.
So I guess because there's been some issues, Jim's not here to speak for himself, but maybe he's told you, do you know what he would expect going forward for inspections, like just, trail off, so to speak, start going once a week?
Right.
And
I mean, I
then-
think whatever the board feels comfortable with. I mean, we certainly can keep it at a monthly basis for the next couple of months or weekly until you feel comfortable with it. Like I said, there haven't been any violations yet, but We just want to make sure that I think, is Gloria one of the
Gloria.
managers?
Yeah.
That they're, taking it seriously and not just, once they know we're not coming around anymore, are they going to let things slide again, or are we going to keep it, keep it up, make sure things
Right.
are being managed the correct way?
So if I could just chime in on that, so the Board of Health has the right, anytime they want, 24/7, as long as that restaurant's open, to
Yep.
do an inspection. And we are going to just let them know that we're not telling you when we're coming, but we're coming, to keep them on their toes.
Yeah.
But John, the question that you asked, and it was a great question, I'd like to present it to him, like, how are you gonna keep your store in check or whatnot? Because you do the eastbound as well.
No, it's
Okay.
a different owner.
It's a different owner.
Right, but let me tell you something. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been with McDonald's for 20 plus years, like
Yeah.
I mentioned before, and we take the responsibility. Was my fault and other people's fault.
Mm-hmm.
But with this, though, we have take some different actions to it. I mean, we changed some management team. We let some people go because we knew that they didn't understand the degree of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been changing the staffing. Also, we have create sheets for them to check food safety.
Mm-hmm.
Also making sure that the times are there and the product. So we have take different actions,
Okay.
and we working closer with Gloria
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that she understands also that it's serious.
Mm-hmm.
We have a new manager, general manager in the plaza. That is the McDonald manager, but she's working with Gloria to make sure that we do a daily walkthroughs, make sure that before we open everything, it's in good conditions. Because we understand, I personally, I feel embarrassed,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sorry for what happened that day. So, like I told Jim, for us, it's a wake-up call,
Mm-hmm.
and I compromise myself to make sure that we keep up with the standards, all about food safety and security also.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, we have to take different actions, and everybody pretty much gets it now. We have somebody in charge of, Gloria is she has ServSafe.
Mhm.
Also, the manager at McDonald's has a ServSafe. And believe me, we're trying to certify every manager because McDonald's doesn't allow us to certify any manager if they don't have ServSafe. So
Mhm.
we're trying to do the same thing with Fresh City.
Okay.
Fresh City, it's believe me, for us it's hard because they're so small that they don't have standards like McDonald's has,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been rough for us. After COVID, we've been trying to keep it up to standards.
Mm-hmm.
It's been difficult with the staffing. We've been having a lot of turnover, the training and all that. But now we are seeing the difference
Mm-hmm.
with setting the system better. So I'm happy and thank you for coming every single day. I'm gonna tell you, we wanted to see how can you help us, and we promise that we're gonna keep up to standards
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to food safety.
Okay. Pete, do you have any comments?
He actually answered. I know we had structural violations here, the leaks, and then the process violations. But it sounds like they instituted checklists and some retraining and established some standard work. So it sounds like they were on the right path.
Okay, John?
Yeah, I agree with what Pete said. The only thing I could add would be, I'd kind of like some sort of a definitive time frame for starting inspections, like once a week or whatever, different days, just pop in different times of the day. Are you open at night as well?
We open until 8.
Oh, till 8, okay.
Yeah.
So, all right,
McDonald's is
breakfast
the
through
only
till,
one. No, we don't have breakfast actually.
Okay,
We
all right.
open at 10.
oh, 10 to 8,
Yeah.
okay, all right,
Yeah.
okay.
So, as far as that goes, our team can work internally on that to
Mhm.
come up with a schedule
Yeah.
with Kim and Jim and.
I just want to be sure that we're getting there for inspections, at least initially, and by that, I mean, over the next, 3 months,
Mhm.
whatever, I don't expect somebody to be driving over there, every day, but whatever you and Jim
Yeah,
is
I think a
appropriate.
weekly inspection would be doable for the next several months. If that works for you.
So, that would be 52 inspections in a year.
Hmm.
So, I say internally, because that's a lot of inspections,
Yeah.
but if we do 52 inspections in a year, right, that's weekly, but it might be 2 in 1 week, next week, because I want to keep these guys
Yeah.
on their toe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's up to us, I guess,
Oh, yeah.
when our team can
Right.
visit, but we've had other restaurants in town, same thing, it's especially the seasonal ones, they come in after the winter break and then they go in and Jim goes in and there's flies, there's dust, there's different issues, and we're not out to shut anybody down. We're not out to have any of your staff not make their pay and all that. But at the end of the day, some of the things that took place on here that we caught are pretty bad, and
Sure.
that's our real concern about it. We are also very concerned on the outside of that building, and that is not reflecting on you really or your team, but it's as a whole. It's getting rough out there. So we're having conversations with DOT or whatever, and I think some of your team and whoever else we can to address that too. But that outside's completely unacceptable, and if, quite frankly, if that doesn't get cleaned up, we're shutting the plaza down too.
So we are working with McDonald's, which is the one in charge of the property, the rental property, and try to work out with DOT.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, our corral, and not just that plaza. If you go to all across the pike,
Yep.
I mean, it's a battle that we have every
Yep.
plaza. We try to keep it as much as possible. Golf, which is another 10 in there,
Mm-hmm.
it's another issue because they have grease outside and
Mhm.
big gallons where they disposal. So we try to work with them. We have a new head of the McDonald's that it's working better with us.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna redo the corrals.
Mhm.
We have a plan for that.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll help at least to, because it's just a mess.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
We fight with the truck drivers every single day. There is days that they don't pick up our trash because they park right in front of it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a chaos. It's a mess. I
Yep.
mean, we understand that. So it's. Believe me, I've been on the pipe for 20 plus years, and,
Yeah.
and we've been dealing with so many issues. But I mean, we try to do our best.
Yep.
I have a good communication with Jim. That day of the leak actually was Papagino's problem. We didn't know. I usually, when we have issues with shake machines,
Mm-hmm.
any big equipment, I communicated to Jim.
Mm-hmm.
That morning I didn't know, but it's not. It is what it is. So,
Right.
but I do communicate with him every time that something big happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree that we have issues with the back parking lot,
Mm-hmm.
trash everywhere. We work with the DOT to see how can we pay half and a half for them to do at least once a month to pick up trash.
Yep.
It's very rough.
Yeah.
It's not easy for us,
Right.
but we open to help as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I agree. The stuff on the outside of the building, for the most part, maybe besides the trash dumpster itself, but that's not from your team, or it's the general public, right?
Yeah.
So, in a way, you guys are being held responsible for somebody else's actions, just like you are today for the
Sure.
person working at Fresh City. But at the same time, both East and West are located in this town, and we're the Board of Health, and we just can't. We're not going to continue to let it go down. We had last time they went in with the hazmat and the forensic team, and they cleaned it up. I mean, there's all types of stuff it's just general public, highway traffic, and
Sure.
it's ridiculous, and it's a shame. But it is what it is. But at the same token, someone's going to have to step up and clean it up, because this board does have the authority to say, you know what, we're going to shut this down. And we had to take it to that level last time before DOT stepped up and cleaned it up. Right now, we're communicating with them, and it's like, hey, we got a problem, we got to have a plan, because we want to work with you. We don't want to shut any of it down. But at a certain point, enough's enough,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the outside, and I'm just saying it out loud to let your people know
Sure.
about it, because you know, me and Jim are going up there one of these days, and if it's real bad, then we're just gonna have to call DOT, and we're gonna have a big problem.
Well, when Mass Pike used to be, it was a different situation. We used to have people that we used to work with them really close. After DOT took over, it's winter time is even worse for us. We have days that when it's snow, they have only one plow person to go all across the turnpike. It's been so hard after DOT took over. It's hard, but I mean, again, we open, we try. I'm gonna do my best with our maintenance people to keep it clean, and you know, there's days that we find tires, huge tires,
Oh, yeah.
mattresses, and we like,
Syringes and
what do we do now?
other things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we've heard.
again, I mean, I'm gonna keep trying and working, you know, try to do our best with our maintenance people.
So for the inside and the real reason why you're here today, really have your staff pay really close attention, especially for like a cross-contamination
Sure.
thing with the, you know, the berries and the nuts and all that, because that could really be a
Sure.
big deal. I learned a lesson being on this board years ago. There was a swimming pool that was kind of nasty, and it kind of came across the table several times. You know, the pool needs to be clean, the pool's nasty, and I didn't really know a lot about it. And so my thinking at the time as a person was, well, if the pool's nasty, don't go in it, right?
Right.
That's how it is, and if it, you know, and so I met a person, and we were talking, and he didn't know who I was. He didn't know my town, or I was on the Board of Health or nothing. And we were talking, and he says, "Oh yeah, I almost died." And I said, "Really?" And we were discussing something. I said, "What happened?" He said, "Well, I went swimming in a swimming pool." He said, "And I got an infection underneath the back of my tooth. It swole up. My mouth swole up like fruit." He was in intensive care through a straw for several weeks or whatever. He said it almost killed him. And when he told me that story, and I'm thinking of, I know that swimming pool, and you know, here I am saying, "Oh, if you don't like it, don't swim in it." So I have my own personal feelings and as a person, but I also have the role as the Board of Health, and the Board of Health is public health and safety. So there's certain things that aren't a big deal, but really are a big deal, and that cross contamination is one. Leaking water through a roof on the food is just gross, and there's probably another issue health-wise other than that, but it's, so just really have your staff be on it, keep an eye on them the best you can, is my opinion. Just know that, like, this board, we're not out to get you, we want to work with you,
Sure.
not against you. But if we come across another incident that's like, you know,
Critical.
in the critical or whatever, we're probably at a minimum going to shut you down right on the spot. At a minimum, probably not going to let you open up until you come before this board again. And from there, you know, it'd be up to the board to decide what happened, how it happened, and all that. But it's going to get elevated to the next level on the naughty list. So just let your boss know and your people know
Absolutely.
how we stand on it. So personally, I think the message has been sent. I think he's going to do a good job getting it back to the people. I'm good with Fresh City, letting them continue to do their thing, unless either one of you two want to throw a different attitude towards it. You know,
No, I'm all set. It sounds like we're gonna have some
yeah.
spot inspections going forward on a needed, not needed basis, on a regular basis, I guess I should say, so.
Yeah, so I do appreciate your time to come in,
Thank you.
and it's too bad your boss didn't come in.
I'll bring the message down.
Yep, and I would guarantee you if it ever happens again in the near future and the boss isn't here, it's gonna be a wait until the boss comes.
Last time, I mean, he was in Chicago when it happened. He's part of the board with the McDonald's.
Yep,
You know, but
I get it.
I'm just gonna bring the message to him. I mean,
Mhm.
and explain to him. But I mean, he's been calling me
Yep.
to make sure that I'm gonna be here, and only that. I mean, whatever that.
And we make the video available if he wants to see it for himself.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was other things too, not to back it up, but they were ripping the sign off the door that said closed and some other stuff that wasn't too kosher, so, but all that's behind us now, let's move forward.
Sure.
We'll do what we can to, keep everybody up and working and keep it clean and as safe as we possibly can.
Okay.
So I personally thank you for coming in,
Thank you
you know, and,
having me and explain what we're doing now moving forward.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, great. Well, that's
All right.
all I got, so.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Angel.
Thank you. Appreciate
Good luck
it.
and
Thank you.
Care.
I'll
Thanks
see you
for
then
your
again. Sure. Say hi to James, okay?
I will.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, other than that, we have some old business. Under the old business, we had landfill discussions. We talked about the quarterly testing going to semi-annual. Don't really have anything on that to bring up. I really don't have any other discussion for this meeting, Pete.
No.
So we'll just ask Kim, do you have any department head reports you want to throw at
I
us?
was only going to mention that we are still receiving applications for the shared services grant position.
Mhm.
I don't know if we have a cutoff yet, but we're still receiving applications for that. And then I don't know if Jim had mentioned this previously, but we received another shipment of we have 7,000 test kits. We have an abundance of medical supplies, masks, children, KN95, surgical, hand sanitizer, Band-Aids. So our trailer and our storage units are completely full of supplies. So it's good.
Yeah,
So it's good. It was all free from the state.
yeah,
So,
great.
so we're stocked up.
Was it all free or was it all the work of you guys getting grant money and doing all that?
This, I mean, this we just was a simple survey. But the grant's great. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention for the grant is we completed. There's a couple rounds of basically questionnaires they want us to complete. We did the first round of the assessment, and then assessment 2 would be coming out in the next 3 weeks. So just some questions that we have to answer
Mhm.
for the grant. And that's all I have.
So, all right. There's one other thing that I'm just not thinking of. It wasn't really a big deal. So, if I think of it, I'll throw it on the agenda for the next meeting. But, well, Kim, I thank you for coming in.
Yeah.
Yes,
And,
thank
No
you.
problem.
How do you feel about our conversation with that gentleman? You think
I
it's
think,
point taken?
Yes. I think Angel takes it seriously.
Mhm.
And from what we've seen after this inspection report, you can tell there, Gloria, who's the on-site manager, is taking it seriously.
Mhm.
I really think it's just a lack of training
Mm-hmm.
and not having, like Angel had mentioned, McDonald's has very high, strict standards and training processes, and Fresh City doesn't have that.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a free-for-all. But I think, unfortunately, it came down to this for them to realize they needed something standardized.
Yeah. Right. I had a comment, but I'm not gonna go there. So, that's great. Hopefully, things stay in check over there and,
Yep.
same with the outside. If it's getting nasty, I'm about to take a field visit with Jim and we might have to call DOT and,
Yeah,
Get
I couldn't
serious.
believe how bad
yeah.
it was
Mhm.
when we went. Yeah, on the 31st, it was the worst I've ever seen it.
Has it gotten better?
I don't think anything's been done,
the
honestly, since
outside?
then. No, I mean it's constant. There's probably 20 trucks at a time, and it's the truckers just throwing their trash out their windows, their bottles, their
Yeah.
other
Yeah,
things,
we heard. You told me.
tires. People just and they just pull into the off of J Him in the back road and just
Yeah.
dump mattresses and furniture and
Right.
no, and they're not doing anything. It's just all there.
Who pays for that? Obviously, the state, if it's DOT. Are they reluctant? They just don't have the manpower or the funds to
Well,
bring out a crew and then pick it up into whatever dump trucks and then haul it off and pay to have it
My,
taken care of.
my understanding, and I think this might be a big part of the problem, is I don't believe Mass DOT owns the two plazas. The two plazas are owned by another person, the person that didn't come here tonight. They own the plazas, but it's the DOT's traffic. So they're kind of both in it together. So everybody does this because
Okay.
obviously the state doesn't have enough money, and obviously the owner of these McDonald's plazas on the Mass Pike doesn't have enough money to keep their yard clean. I see it a different way. I think they need a waste management plan on the outside, however they have to do that, and keep it a little cleaner, because at the end of the day, it does come down to this board. And for us, like, reality is both of those plazas are out of sight, out of mind, because we don't commonly go by it on the Pike, because we'd either come in from Sturbridge or come in from Auburn, and we're not going by it and pulling in and saying, oh my God, this place is a dump. So it kind of slips through the cracks that way to a certain extent. But we know about it, and it's really up to us to kind of stay on it. And if I feel as though if we don't keep the standard somewhat reasonable, no one else is gonna. And so I know what the answer is, and the answer is the squeaky wheel gets the oil. We start chirping and start telling them that we're gonna shut this place down, we're gonna see activity, and they're gonna hold it better.
I mean, would it be reasonable at some point to make it a red item where they have 30 days to clean it up, and if not, then...
We could, I don't know, I mean, we could. I think last round it got to that point, and I had DOT calling me, asking me to roll Mr. Philbrook down because they thought he was not out of line, but really being aggressive on what his demands were. And I think they came out within, like 2 weeks to do it. So by the conversation that we've had, in my eyes, that clock has already started.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not opposed to that one bit. And if it needs to get elevated to that where we have to give them a deadline before serious action takes place, whatever that may be, I'd certainly be on board with that. Because if this board doesn't force it, it's not going to happen. And let's face it, that's our town. So.
It's something we probably don't want to wait until it's an agenda item 3 weeks or so from now either. Right?
Probably not. I mean,
I don't know if we can take action though in that time or what, but I'm in agreement if it's bad, and it's there's certainly nobody out there that's taking mattresses and trash and syringes and whatever else and making it better. I'm sure it's just getting worse by the day.
what was the date? The 31st, was it?
Yeah,
Yes,
August
August
31st, yeah.
31st.
August 31st. So 30 days is come and gone. When do you think you're going back? In the next week or so-ish?
Yeah, I would say, within the next week.
So how about this? Why don't, when you go out, and you guys can, if it's not right, John or Pete, just let me know, but how about when you go out,
Yep.
on your next scheduled visit, it'll be a secret, show up when you do, just eyeball the outside of it and see if it's gotten any better.
Okay.
Gives them another week to maybe do their thing, and if it hasn't, I'll reach out. Jim will be back from vacation by then.
Yep.
I'll reach out to Jim, and the two of us will probably do a conference call with the powers to be, with the state, let them know that, hey, we've already given you, 5 weeks or 6 weeks, we need to see activity up there, or this is gonna blow up.
Yep.
So if you remember what you saw and
Yeah.
Take a few
yeah.
photos. It's always fun
Yeah.
to see that.
Yes. Yeah.
and it's the big ticket things, like if there was a stack of truck tires in the corner or mattresses or just trash. I mean, if the dumpster guy didn't get the trash one day,
Right.
maybe because the truck was parked there, I'm not looking for the thing that might be corrected tomorrow.
Right. This
I'm
is
looking for
the
the-
things dumped and.
I'm looking for the long-term
Yep.
mess that
Yes.
is not getting any better. So, besides that, do we want to take a meeting in 3 weeks?
3 weeks is good for me. 25th?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Pete?
Yeah.
So let's pencil in then October 25th, 6 p.m. for our next Board of Health meeting.
Sounds good.
Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting
Time
is 6:34.